Hi guys, in this video we will be dividing decimals, okay? Dividing decimals. Now, when we divide decimals, the first thing that we need to do is check the divisor or the number on the outside of the house for a decimal, okay? Step 2, if the divisor does not have a decimal, leave the number or the problem alone and divide regularly, okay? If the number on the outside of the house does not have a decimal, leave the problem alone and divide regularly. If the divisor does have a decimal, you are going to move that decimal until that number, the divisor, is a whole number, okay? If the number on the outside does have a decimal, you are going to move the decimal until the number on the outside is a whole number, okay? Whatever is done to the outside of the house or the divisor, you have to do to the inside of the house or to the dividend, okay? And then after you do all of that, you will divide the numbers. Now, let's get a few examples under our belt, okay? Let's look at this first one. 5 8500 divided by 5, okay? 5 8500 divided by 5. This is our dividend, or the number on the inside of the house. Our divisor goes outside. So our problem would look like this. Okay? Now, first, we did the first step. We're going to check the divisor, the outside of the house, for a decimal. Okay? That's step 1. Step 2 says if the divisor does not have a decimal, we're going to leave our problem alone and divide. So that's what we're going to do. It does not have a decimal on the outside of the house. We're going to leave this alone and divide. Bring that decimal up. 5 can go into 5 one time because 1 times 5 is 5. Subtracting gets 0. 5 cannot go into 0, so you bring down the 8. 5 can go into 8 one time because 1 times 5 is 5. 8 minus 5 is 3. 5 cannot go into 3, so we're going to bring this 5 down here. 5 can go into 35 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. 35 minus 35 is 0. We have found our answer. 5 8500 divided by 5 is 1 1700. Okay? Let's look at this next example. We have 125 divided by 5/10. Okay? The dividend goes inside of the house. The divisor goes outside of the house. Okay? Now, step 1 says check the divisor for a decimal. We're going to check the number on the outside of the house for a decimal. We're going to skip over step 2 because that says if it does not have a decimal, this one does. We're going to go to step 3. If the divisor does have a decimal, move the decimal until the divisor is a whole number. So, to make it a whole number, I need to take this decimal and move it behind the number, okay? Need to move it behind the number. It will now be a whole number 5, okay? It will now be the whole number 5. So that number has been changed. Whatever is done to the divisor or the outside of the house, we need to do to the inside of the house. The inside of the house, though, does not have a decimal. So we're going to put 1 at the end of the number because we have to do what we did on the outside to the inside. So we're going to take this decimal and move it once to the right. In that blank space, we're going to place a 0. And now we have a new number. Okay? After we do that, we need to divide regularly. 5 cannot go into 1, but it can go into 12 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract 12 minus 10, you get 2. Bring down the 5 from the inside because that 5 right there cannot go into 2. But it can go into 25 5 times because 5 times 5 is 25. And we get 0. Now, just because we got 0 does not mean we're done. Bring down that last 0 that's inside the house. But since we know 5 cannot go into 0, we're going to put a 0 right there. And we have our answer. So 125 divided by 5/10 is 250. Okay? Let's see what this looks like, or let's see what dividing decimals look like in a word problem. Let's see what it looks like in a word problem. Now, this says, when Shane got his water bill in May, he was shocked. He had used 143 43/100 gallons of water. About how much did he use each day? Hint, there are 31 days in May. Okay, we want to know how much or about how much did he use each day. Okay, so he had to use 143 43/100 gallons of water in the month of May. May has 31 days. Okay, so we're going to go over here to the side and we're going to divide 143 43/100. We're going to divide that by the 31 days that there are in May. Okay, now, step 1, check the divisor or the outside of the house for a decimal. There are no numbers or no decimals on the outside of the house, so we are going to divide normally. 31 cannot go into 1. It cannot go into 14, but 31 can go into 143. Ooh, how many times? Let's see. I believe 4 times, because 4 times 31 is 124. Okay, we're going to subtract. I can't do 3 minus 4, so I'm going to borrow from that 4 right there. 13 minus 4 is 9. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is nothing. Now we're going to bring down this 4 right here, but we're also going to make sure that decimal rises to the top. 31 can go into 194 6 times, because 6 times 31 is 186. Okay, subtract. I can't take 6 from 4, so I'm going to borrow from next door. That 4 becomes a 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. We're going to bring down that 3 right there. 31 can't go into 8, but it can go into 83 twice, because 2 times 31 is 62. We're going to subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. 8 minus 6 is 2. Okay? And we're not going to go any further because we started with 2 decimal places here. I want 2 numbers behind my decimal there. That way we can tell that, or we can approximate or tell about how much water he used each day. So he used about 4 6/62 gallons of water each day. That is dividing decimals.